Implicit functions in two variables.
Welcome to today's class 2 on implicit function in two variables. So this is also under differentiation, where you have two variables, an implicit function in two variables, how you can find the derivative of those implicit functions. And I think for Wassce standard, you'll be doing only on two variables. If you do higher studies in mathematics, that's under differentiation. You go as much as to do 3 variables and 4 variables. Okay. Now, implicit function in two variables like x, y is a function in which neither variables can be expressed in terms of the other. So it's a function in which neither variables can be expressed in terms of the other. So for instance, if you have y is equal to x, you can express y in terms of what? In terms of x. I get it. But when it comes to implicit functions, like you see sk plus y cubed is equal to 3xy. When you consider this function, for instance, you can't express y in terms of x and you can't express x in terms of y. So since you can't express x in terms of y and y in terms of x, then we say this function is what? An implicit function. Now, if you have an implicit function, how do you find the derivative? But before we come to that, there are certain things you have to note over here. Now, anytime you want to find the derivative of a y, derivative with respect to x of a y, it is what? 1 multiplied. So, if you want to find the derivative of y, because we can't express neither variables in terms of the other, you express them, you can find the derivative of each of them with respect to x. But if you find the derivative with respect to x of y, it is simply what? 1 times y. So the exponent of the y multiplied by the y minus y, dy on what? On the x. But when you do this, you realize that this here will go to 0, and y is 0 is the same as 1, which will give what? Dy on the x. I get it. So the same way, if you want to find the derivative of y squared with respect to x, it is simple 2 times the y. 2 times the y, 2 minus 1 dy dx. And that gives what? 2y dy dx. I get it. So in terms of the y, that is when we can find the derivative of y with respect to x. For implicit function, so the same way we have dy dx of 2y cubed. Then we become 3 times 2y, 3 minus 1 dy dx, which becomes 6y, 3 minus 1 will give you square dy dx. Okay. Now these are things you are supposed to put in your head. Anytime you want to find the derivative of a y, you have to know these rules that after finding the derivative, you have to put your dy dx over there. Okay, sure. So if you understand this, then we can move on. Anytime you have an implicit function, you are supposed to find the derivative, and it's a product. The x and the y are in terms of product. We are treated by the product rule. But if they are in terms of quotients, y divided by x squared, 2y divided by x, then we are treated by what? The quotient rule. So let's take 2 examples. So example 1, x squared plus y squared is equal to what? 2. So this is an implicit function. This is an implicit function. And we are asked to find the derivative of this implicit function. What do we do? Now, dy dx of x squared will give you what? 2x. Take note. So look at what I'm doing very carefully. Dy dx of x squared will give me 2x plus dy dx of y squared. Dy dx of y squared. So the derivative of the x squared is equal to what? 2x. The derivative of y squared with respect to x is 2y dy minus what? Dx. Please do you get it now? So now you see that anytime you see x, take the x as a function. I get it. And it is always with respect to x. That is why I gave you 2x. But this one is with respect to x, but the function is in y. So it has to multiply itself and still have the derivative over there. Okay. So now the derivative with respect to x of y is 2y, y squared is 2y, y over the x. And the derivative of a constant is what? With respect to x of the constant is 0. So here you can make the y, the x the subject here. So now if you want to make the y the x the subject, you get 2y divided the x is equal to what? Minus 2x. So therefore the y dx is equal to minus 2x all divided by what? 2y. So you divide the 2y by both sides. So what do you get? The dy dx is now minus x on y. And this is the derivative. This becomes the derivative. Let's take another example and see what we can do about that. Example 2, we have x cubed plus, let's take this example here, y cubed is equal to 3xy. It's equal to 3xy. What can we do here? Now, the derivative of x cubed is what? 3x squared plus the derivative of y cubed with respect to x will give you what? 3y, 3 times y cubed minus 1 dy dx, which is equal to 3y squared dy dx. Okay, so that is 3y squared dy over dx. Okay. Now, when you check the last term over here, you realize that the x and the y are products. So we said if you have something where the two variables are in terms of product, they are treated by the product rule. And what is the product rule? The product rule says that if you have vein y is equal to u vein, then vein du on the x plus u the vein on the x. This is the product rule. So now when you say that our u is the x here and our vein is the y, what can you do? So if u is the x and vein is the y, then we can have vein, which is what? Vein here is what? Y. So you have to find the u on the x first. So the u on the x here is 1. The vein on the y. So the vein here on, with respect to the y here, sorry, with respect to x here, of the function y is what? The y on the x. Take notes. I get it. So that would be like the v here, so that would be d of the x of y, which is what? The y of the x. That was the first thing we note here. I get to give dy of the x. So therefore, what is v? So y times the u on the x, which is 1, plus u, where is u here is x, times the v on the x, which is what? Dy on what? On the x. So therefore, if you want to do this, the 3 bracket out, using applying quotient, you get what? Y plus x dy on what? On the x. Okay. Don't forget your product rule, sorry. Don't forget your product rule. So now when you get this, you get what? 3x squared plus 3y squared dy on the x equal to 3y plus 3x dy on the x. So now make dy dx the subject of the equation. Make dy dx the subject of the equation. You get 3y squared dy of the x minus 3x dy on the x, which is equal to 3y minus 3x squared. Okay, so therefore, finally factorizing y dx out, we get what? 3y squared minus 3x is equal to 3y minus 3x squared. So we divide here by 3y squared minus 3x. 3y squared minus 3x. So therefore, the y of the x will give you y. So if I factorize the 3 out here, so 3 into bracket y minus x squared, all divided by 3 into bracket y squared minus x. So therefore, finally, our dy dx becomes y minus x squared all divided by y squared minus x. Okay. Now I want you to try your hands on this question. Try your hands on this question. Example 1. 1 on x squared plus 1 on y squared is equal to 1 on 4. When you do this, the answer you get after the derivative is that you get dy dx equal to minus y cubed all divided by x cubed. So try and answer this and then the answer you'll get. Thank you very much.